me get all this ready.
Whatever control.
I'll call this meeting to order. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. I want to welcome our guest in particular to the Healthmasters. It's the Arkansas Department of Health's Toastmasters Club. Well, I want us all to stand and...
That's a pretty honor.
Oh, my goodness.
So we appreciate it. Yes, of course, at the end, you're welcome.
Yeah, I heard her say that, so we're going to worry about that. Let's all stand and recite our pledge this morning. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Another guest.
I have a quote this morning I want to share with you from Lily Walters. The success of your presentation will be judged not by the knowledge you send, but by what the listener receives. And we've all been in situations where the knowledge was good, but the presentation wasn't anything memorable enough for you to grab onto. So remember, knowledge is one part, but to be able to receive it is something totally different. I'm going to turn you over to the hands of our Toastmaster for the day. Well, before we do that, I want to make sure our guests know, I know one is leaving early, but the second one who just arrived, that at the end, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourselves and say a couple of words about the meeting, so keep that in mind as well. And I will turn you over to the hands of our Toastmaster for the day, Mr. James Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow Health Masters, guests, welcome, especially Wendy. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come. The theme for today that I want to go with is getting back to the basics, improving what we've worked upon this far. I remember when we had our first meeting, and unofficial meeting, and we had the different members from different Toastmasters come in and give us an overview of what it is, what Toastmasters is, the organization. A lot of us have actually improved to the point to where one point maybe we will be the ones that go out and help a new group spawn a Toastmaster organization. So with that, I want to have us come back to the basics and make sure that we're following up on the little things. We all come up here to speak, but make sure the roles and the leaderships that we move forward with, we emphasize the small things that make us better. As we move forward, we want to introduce our AHA counter, our Ah counter for today, Ms. D. Shirley. I will solicit one volunteer if we have. If not, I will serve as the role as grammarian, but if someone else wants to assume that role for today's meeting. Want to assume the role for grammarian?
Yes, sir.
You are?
I am Margaret.
Very good.
Marcus with Toast, he's the executive with Toastmaster.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Executive, so we're happy to have her here.
With that, Ms. Robinson, would you care to select the word for the day? Thank you very much. Well, I definitely appreciate a visitor stepping forward to assume the role of grammarian. Moving forward, we're going to go ahead and move over into our Toastmaster Minute of the Day. It's going to be presented by our president, Nathaniel Noble.
Last time I spoke with you, I spoke about how to memorize a speech. I told you to maybe spend 30 seconds on an introduction, then 30 seconds on a closing, make 3 points. Each of those 3 points make 3 sub-points, probably about 30 seconds apiece. A transition in between points of probably 5 seconds. Now that would take you to about 6 or 7 minutes, and you can memorize a speech in 30-second intervals. But I never said, how do you memorize this speech? After you've written it all out, the way I approach it is the way some musicians approach teaching music to young people. They have them learn the last stanza, then they go the stanza before, learn that stanza and go to the end. Take that stanza before, take the following, and go to the end. So an approach to memorizing your speech is memorize your ending. From that, go 1 paragraph behind that, memorize that paragraph and go to the end. That way, by the time you get to the beginning of your speech, your ending is so strong that at any time, if you lose yourself, you can jump forward a little bit and keep on moving. That way, as your speech, you stand here, you gain your confidence, and as you gain your confidence, you've gotten to a point where your speech is rolling so well because you memorized it in reverse order. And that's an approach to memorizing your speech.
Thank you very much, sir, Nathaniel. That is truly an inspirational way to possibly look at it, and I will have to try to incorporate that into my next speech, which I think I'll be speaking next week. But as we move forward, we're going to go ahead and move into our first speaker for the day, Mr. David Vrundy. We'll be presenting 2 poems. I print out on my agenda here the actual verbiage part. The 2 poems that you'll be speaking on today will be, let's welcome David Vrundy up.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. So many visitors today. It's wonderful. Wonderful word of the day. The Interpretive Reading Manual is a manual you may not have seen yet, but it's something that you will have the opportunity to present from. And that is what you will be hearing me present from today. The Interpretive Reading Manual, one of the projects is interpreting poetry. So sometimes you don't have to memorize a speech. You can have your speech here. My poems are right here. So maybe you want to give that a try, the Interpretive Reading Manual. Have you ever read a poem that really made you think? See some nodding heads. If you haven't, hopefully these will make you think today. Hopefully. And you'll have the chance at the end to tell me what you think these poems mean, because each poem is different, but they have sort of a common thread. So be thinking. The first poem is by, actually, an author is unknown, but it is called The Handwriting on the Wall. A weary mother returned from the store, lugging groceries through the kitchen door. Awaiting her arrival was her 8-year-old son, anxious to relate what his younger brother had done. While I was out playing and Dad was on a call, TJ took his crayons and wrote on the wall. It's on the new paper you just hung in the den. I told him you'd be mad at having to do it again. She let out a moan and furrowed her brow. Where is your little brother right now? She emptied her arms, and with a purposeful stride, she marched to his closet, where he had gone to hide. She called his full name as she entered his room. He trembled with fear, for he knew that meant doom. For the next 10 minutes, she ranted and raved about the expensive wallpaper and how she had saved lamenting all the work it would take to repair. She condemned his actions and total lack of care. The more she scolded, the madder she got, then stomped from his room, totally distraught. She headed for the den to confirm her fears. When she saw the wall, her eyes flooded with tears. The message she read pierced her soul with a dart. It said, "I love Mommy," surrounded by a heart. Well, the wallpaper remained just as she found it, with an empty picture frame hung to surround it, a reminder to her, and indeed to us all. Take the time to read the handwriting on the wall. What did you take away from that? Think. Don't say anything yet, because you're in luck. James, one more poem to come. One more poem. By Valerie Cox, called The Cookie Thief. A woman was waiting at the airport one night. With several long hours before her flight, she hunted for a book at the airport shop, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man beside her, as bold as could be, grabbed a cookie or two from the bag in between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. She read, munched cookies, and watched the clock. As the gutsy cookie thief diminished her stock, she was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking, if I wasn't so nice, I'd blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too. When only one was left, she wondered what he'd do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half and he ate the other. She snatched it from him and thought, oh, brother, this guy has some nerve and he's also rude. Why, he doesn't even show any gratitude. She had never known when she had been so galled, and sighed with relief when her flight was called. She gathered her belongings and headed for the gate, refusing to look back at that thieving ingrate. She boarded the plane and sank in her seat, then sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her baggage, she gasped with surprise. There were her bag of cookies in front of her eyes. Mine are here, she moaned with despair. Then the others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one, the ingrate, the thief. That is The Cookie Thief. So you've heard two poems. What do you think the common message is from these poems? Common theme. What are you taking away? What message is being conveyed to you? Wanda. Think before you act. I think Senator Daniel Moynihan once said, we're all entitled to our own opinions, but we're not entitled to our own facts. And so the next time you're in a situation where you have to make a decision, maybe an important decision, remember handwriting on the wall. Remember the cookie thief. And make sure you have the facts before you make that decision. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sir Dave. That was truly enlightening, especially the handwriting on the wall. Having kids myself, I wonder what I would do when I come home and I find handwriting on the wall. Might not be that outcome that yours was. In addition to cookies, that's very appropriate considering I'm sure everybody's hungry. But we will move forward with our next speaker, Mr. Phillip Borden. He's actually going to bring forth a poem to share with us today.
Thank you. What does it mean to be an American? A number of ways we could answer that question. We could talk about the symbolism in this flag. Pledge of Allegiance, cited a few minutes ago. Today I want to share with you a little of the history of what I think is the greatest symbol we have in this country. It's La Liberté Éclairante, more commonly called the Statue of Liberty. The person responsible for the statue Frederick Bartholdi was born in France after France had already won its independence from Britain. But liberty came to have a new meaning for him. Home area of France. Part of Germany for a while during that war. At about that same time, this man, Lord René de Laboulaye, was proposed the idea of building some sort of honor America's proposed that most he put together a group to get the fundraising started, and he had heard about Frederick Bartholdi. Invited Bartholdi to join. Bartholdi had drawn up lighthouses, light or torch at the top, but he had never built one of those. Options. Decided to go with Bartholdi's lighthouse statue. I'm just an admirer of the United States. Wanted the statue to stand He designed the statue to have a Roman theme. Goddess of liberty and expression. Also has Ola, that's a Roman crown and Roman sandal. Right hand is a Roman torch. Tablet that bears the inscription July 4th, 1776 in Roman. 70s. Fundraising for one fundraising campaign. Less interested in Bartholdi didn't go small. The statue that was pedestal underneath it is 9 feet tall. Bartholdi literally wanted to put liberty high on. Might happen because of the delays in fundraising. actually 1886, when dedicated on October. Outer shell of the statue is actually made of always this greenish. Copper is left to the elements, it will eventually turn. Base of the statue. Another subtle but important part forward. This smaller bronze replica of the decided to commission a poet to write a poem that could be used during fundraising and that statue's dedication. I don't think they could have found. I could go back in time Lazarus was a single Jewish American. Studied Jewish history. She knew a little something about the importance of liberty and freedom. The poem that she wrote is actually titled "The New Colossus." On it, that modern version of Italian sonnet, which is another. Close today with the poem that she wrote, because I think it does a great job of documenting the message statue. At the base of the statue today, not like the brazen giant, at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch. Her name is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, her beacon hand, worldwide welcome. Wild eyes command the air. Pomp, cries she with silent lips. Me, you're tired, you're poor. Huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. Wretched refuse.
Very well and inspiring. Phillip, I appreciate that. Education regarding the Statue of Liberty almost makes me want to make sure when I get the opportunity to go to New York to pay a visit and read that poem, the words that are inscribed there as well. Now we'll go ahead and move forward to our next part of our actual meeting. What we have just heard are the speeches or poems that were rehearsed. We're going to move forward to our impromptu speaking as we have Miss Joyce Biddle come up and direct our table topics discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How we all doing? You know, December is holiday season. Christmas is celebrated by many cultures throughout the world. Some for religious reasons, others for the joy of the Christmas season. Some celebrate Hanukkah, while others celebrate Kwanzaa. Questions I have today are on those subjects. When you were growing up, which holiday did you celebrate? Barbara? Barbara. When many of us were children, we were bamboozled, lied to, into believing that there was a Santa Claus. When did you realize that this was a well-concocted fable, and how did it affect you? Hey.
Question, man, Toastmaster. That's perfect for me since I'm Jewish. Actually, there is a Santa Claus, isn't there? What's that?
Say it isn't so.
That's why Rush Limbaugh said that Obama. I grew up. Is that I have a twin brother, and Rich. So, you know, my presents because they don't understand. Plus, my birthday is December 24th. Birthday gifts, Hanukkah gifts, Christmas gifts, time. That was pretty cool. But in terms of Santa Claus, not much about Santa. I'm talking now.
Thank you, David. What was your favorite memory of the holiday season? Nathaniel. Now, I'm a gifter. I love giving presents. Are you a gifter? How much do you plan to spend this season?
So I've got to.
Thank you, James. That leads me to my last question. Do you think the holiday season has become overly commercialized, and why? Tanisha. Thank you, Tanisha. That was my last question.
Thank you, Ms. Biddle. Definitely with the opportunity of the holidays coming forth, I hope that we all find the time to give back to our communities and our extended families so that we all can benefit from the holiday season. At this point, we're going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to our general evaluator to give us a evaluation of how we have performed today. If I can ask Ms. Tanisha, if I keep hitting these buttons trying to get my card up here, pardon me.
Thank you, Master. Okay, we started, our club president, Nathaniel, led us with the Pledge of Allegiance at 12:05. We had some minor technical difficulties that contributed to the delay in starting today. David was so gracious to acknowledge our guests before the pledge, but that was okay. He wanted them to feel welcome. We do have our welcome book for the visitors that was displayed on the table. Our Toastmaster introduced the meeting theme and introduced the other presenters. He talked about getting back to the basics, making sure that we were knowledgeable of our roles and our leadership, and that's emphasized to make us better speakers. Dee Shirley, our eye counter, explained her role. We had a visitor today who was actually our grammarian. She volunteered to be our grammarian. We were so thankful for that, to serve in that role. And now at this time, well, we also had our Toastmaster minute from Nathaniel, and he basically expanded on how to memorize the speech and talked about memorizing it in reverse order. We had two speakers, and at this time I would like to present our evaluators to come and evaluate or provide feedback on those two speeches. The first evaluator will be Gloria Bastidas, and she will be evaluating David Vrundy's speech.
Well, thank you. And first, I want to say that I'm so happy to come back. I was in medical leave of absence also. But when I called Phillip and I said, I'm ready to come back, he told me, well, maybe you can help us to evaluate David.
Thank you. And at this time, we will have our evaluator number 2, Wanda Simon, who will come and evaluate Phillip Borden.
Thank you. I was supposed to evaluate Phillip Borden, but I'm in shock still. If anybody knows a good counselor, I don't understand this thing about Santa Claus still.
I think the health department has some free counseling sessions.
Do they?
Sign up for it.
I mean, is he really not real? Oh, never mind. Okay. Phillip's speech. Phillip always gives good speeches, and this time he was supposed to present on a topic that required a large amount of research. So I'm not sure if large meant all weekend or 2 weeks or what, but I think he did an excellent job. Picked a topic that was applicable to everybody in the room and the visitors included. I liked the PowerPoint to support all the topics, points that he had to make. I especially liked the reference to the penny and explaining the color of the statue. One of the questions is, how clear was the speaker's purpose? I wasn't clear at the beginning whether or not it was going to be a history or a purpose of the Statue of Liberty or something like that. So that is one thing that I was kind of unsure about. And the other thing that might have been some hesitation when you moved from one point to another, because I know you had the speech memorized. But maybe once in a while a note to have to pause so long between transitioning from one to another. But I thought the poem at the end was perfect. Right, you either had that memorized perfectly or you fooled us all. So good topic and good support and material.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to let us give our speakers another great big round of applause. They did an awesome job. I was very impressed, as always, with David and Phillip, especially David for memorizing that speech. I mean, that was awesome. That was very good, and I was really drawn into the poems of David's speech. So, thank you all for that. And at this time, I would like to, before I proceed, I would like to apologize for not acknowledging our table topics master, Madam Joyce Biddle. And so, but she did an excellent job as well on the impromptu speeches in regards to table topics. So, now at this time, I would like to introduce our grammarian, or to call her here to the podium to give us her grammarian's report.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters, thank you for allowing me to be here with you. Grammarian, the word of the day. I counted, drum roll please. I counted only 8. Let's say it all together. You don't sound too excited. What's that? Oh, well, applaud yourselves. Come on. Woo, come on. Okay, thank you for allowing me to be your grammarian. General Evaluator. Oh, the language. I'm sorry. I observed everyone. You were observing me while I was observing. The language was very outstanding. Y'all projected everything quite well. Sometimes we're a little bit long-winded, but that comes with practice. So keep on practicing, and remember that the word of the day, the grammarian, and even your timing. All of this information is in your competent communicator manual, in your competent leader manual, on how long we're supposed to focus and speak on each topic. And once we do that, I think we will be awesome. But the words in the grammarian, everything was very good. There were a couple of ahs and ums. I did hear the bell ding a little bit, but we have to listen to make sure that we still pick up on some of the pregnant pauses, the uhs and the ums, so's. But otherwise, it went quite well. Thank you. I love this mic. I can get used to it. Wow. Yes. Can I take it with me?
We'd like to thank our grammarian, Mrs. Margaret Robinson, who is our visitor for the day. Visitor for the day. And at this time, we'll have our timers report, who will provide a report of the times recorded during this meeting.
Barbara Williams, to all of our visitors today, the treasurer of this club. Today I'm going to give you the timers report on a few things. We did start a few minutes late due to technical difficulties, as well as throughout the meeting. Toastmaster minute was very good. It was a minute, 1 minute, exactly. Then we had the speech of David, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Very good. Then Phillip. But it was a very good speech. And I got so engrossed. Okay, Phillip, well, I feel like that. 8 minutes and 55 seconds. I know, I was blown away, but, you know, it was a good speech. Great speech. The table topics, I only spoke for 45 seconds. Apparently, I didn't really get a Christmas or something, I don't know, when I was growing up. David did 1 minute, 12 seconds. Nathaniel, 36 seconds. James, 1 minute. Tanisha, 21 seconds. And the evaluator, Gloria, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. I'm going to have to get a bigger red sign. Wanda, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And our grammarian spoke for 1 minute and 50 seconds. And I have spoken for 1 minute and 51 seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
I have to forgive me for taking a moment or two to get up here. I pulled a muscle in my back. That's why I'm struggling a little to make it up here. But I'd like to thank everybody that participated in our meeting. I think we did a marvelous job with the 2 speakers, the table topics, and the evaluations of everything. At this point, I will turn it back over to our president.
Another great meeting. My quote that I started off the session with today was so fitting, because it doesn't matter what your knowledge is if we don't take away something, and I think we took away something from both speeches. And it's so odd that I didn't realize it was an 8-minute speech, because I was so engrossed in what he was saying once he started getting to the chemistry part of the statute, but that's a whole nother subject too. Now, for now, I want our visitors, I want you to stand and introduce yourselves and say a couple of words, if you don't mind, about what you think of our meeting today. Thank you, Ms. Barber. Thank you for visiting with us today. For another meeting. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully both of you signed in so we can send you some correspondence for thank you for coming out to visit with us today. Let's go into business. Is there anything that we need to discuss? Any new business that we need to go over?
I just wanted to let folks know that if you I'll update the website. A month left. Guest joins, you get 5 points. Try to guess the guest comes, you get.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, wow. Thank you. Toastmasters International certifies that Healthmasters of Little Rock, Arkansas has been elected to membership and is hereby vested with all rights and privileges of Toastmasters International by prescribed in the Constitution thereof, and by the acceptance of this charter has agreed to abide by said Constitution and bylaws. A witness thereof, the said corporation has caused this charter to be signed by its executive director and international president. And I can't make out the names, but the executive director and the international president have both signed it. Let's get a picture of you.
Also come to let you know. More details is on the District 40. Now until the end of does not include your hotel.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you can just pay for the meals though, right? You don't have to necessarily pay for all that.
You can go a la carte. You can go a la
We have these people visiting with our Toastmasters meeting today, or is there something else going on? Ah, I thought you're here to visit with us. Okay. But we'll give you some cards so you can come visit with us next time. Now, for our roles for next week, I normally print that out and bring it with me so I can read them off, but I didn't bring them with me today. But Phillip sent out the email this morning of your roles for next week. If you happen to have them, Phillip, do you happen to have your list of people's roles? Well, Make sure you check your email, and as usual, if you can't fulfill your role, let the Toastmaster know or somebody else know. If there's no more business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned.
We should set up another officer meeting. Let's set up. No, when did you set it up last? Well, why don't you put it on our calendar, then you have to reject it. Let's get it on.
Oh, you know what happened was, I don't want to hear that. You will show up on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll go find some.
I'll send an email to you guys so we have an officer meeting.
Let's do that. Maybe we should do the office meeting like at a lunch.
Hey, how are you today? Pretty good. How are you? Sir Rick, if you want to use it. Okay. Do you need sound?
Sir?
Do you need sound?
So you mean like for me?
There's a little bit of a buzz on there. Leave it unplugged. I don't have it.
Okay.
We will in a moment.
Here's the clicker.
Okay. Thank you. Same thing. Same thing on the screen and the.
Yes. Okay. Please.
They won't allow us to do it.
Already logged in as somebody else or should I? I just needed to do it myself. All we need, really.
Okay. One's brightest room 2 right now.
No, I don't think so. Can you hear me talking like this?
Everybody, I just want to welcome y'all here. We're very glad you're here. You're going to see software today that we're using. Yes, so it's not quite ready for prime time, but we're working through it, and we wanted to. They already done the e-learning. Then you'll see this is not so different that you won't. Today will be Jim Dorman. And you'll get to know both of them fairly well because they'll also be the trainers who do training as we move forward. So what they're going to do today is this afternoon give you an overview, and the rest of the week we're going to be working in the system and kind of talking it through and talking about different ways that things work. So if you have any questions, feel free to answer them. It's the forum for you. If we can't answer it, we'll